Hello there, Tad Argay from Marketing for Hippies, and today we're going to be talking about how do you attract paying students and people to your online courses that you're going to make, or really, I would say any course that you're gonna do. And I'm going to be reading to you story time from Uncle Tad from A Teacher Gift by Danny Inney, which is a fantastic wee little book that really packs a punch on marketing. So before I go into it, if you like this video, please share it at the end. And you can always subscribe, hit the red button and the little bell icon to subscribe to my videos on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook. Marketingforhippies.com is my website. I've got an email list, like everyone, so feel free to sign up for that. This was a part in Danny's book I really love that really resonates with me. And so this is really speaking about pilot programs, about your beta program, the first time you run a course, how do you fill it? And the thing he said, which I just think is so true, he says is it will boil down to, because he says right now the goal is to attract anywhere from a handful to a few dozen students to your pilot course. So just remember, in the first course, you just need bigger than a bread box. You need maybe only 4 people, 8, 12, 24, but you don't need a ton. People, I think with their beta tests, it's got to be big numbers, but you only need a few. He says, but it'll boil down to reaching out to people you already have some sort of connection with, either personally or professionally, and telling them about it. Yes, that's right. Your first customers should be people you're already connected with, not strangers on the internet who discover you through ads, blogs, partner referrals, social media, or some happy accident of browsing the web. And there's 2 reasons for this. One, they already know you and they already trust you. This is huge. That's the biggest hurdle in marketing. We've got the relevance, credibility, and value. Credibility is most of it. Relevance, you can establish pretty easily. That's some fancy copywriting, some good niching, boom, relevance. Value, that's just a really good offer. And again, good copywriting, boom. But the credibility, building the trust, that's most of it. So you already have that with the people you know. Number 2, you already have access to them. That's huge. You don't have to find these people. Of all the effort, just finding new people is hard. All the money you spend in ads and, joint venture stuff, affiliate or hub marketing even, there's effort in that. Let's not kid ourselves. So you already have access to them. Okay, but how do you approach them? And I love this. He says, so remember, this is a co-creation process. You aren't going to call them up and give them a hard sell on paying for a pilot course. Like some used car salesman. Rather, start by reaching out through whatever channel is most comfortable to you, whether that means email, Facebook, text message, phone, or something else, and sharing you're starting to work on a new project and you'd love to run by them and get their perspective. Ask if they can make time for a quick phone call in the next couple of weeks. You might worry that your contacts will be busy or uncomfortable accepting a call, but my experience is that people are usually surprised by how well and quickly this works, right? So again, you're just giving them a call to say, hey, I've got this new thing I'm working on. I'd love to run it by you, get some of your feedback, And a lot of people say yes if you already have some pre-existing relationship with them. You're really not, the agenda of this call is not to sell them at all. You're just calling to see, is it a fit, but also if there is any feedback. Which hopefully you've already done, by the way. Hopefully you've already done a lot of this getting feedback in the beta testing. You can refer to the other videos, and maybe I'll put a link to my other videos on beta testing. But hopefully before you're at this point, you've already had a lot of conversations and done a lot of interviews to just design something that actually has got some legs to it. So Danny continues. He says, this works because it's actually a pretty innocuous request. If you reach out to a few dozen people, you're likely to be on the phone with many of them in short order, which is important, just that you're doing something, just that you're getting moving. On those calls, you'll simply share an honest truth, which is you're thinking about teaching a course about your chosen subject matter. Based on whatever background your contacts have that led you to believe that they might be interested, indicate that you want to reach out to get their input on if this sounds like a course they might be interested in signing up for, and ask if it perhaps is a course that they themselves get their input on if this sounds, they think this sounds like a course that someone just generally might be interested in signing up for, but also if it's something they themselves might want to sign up for. Yeah. So that's the first thing. You're just going to say, look, I've got this idea for a course that's on this topic. does this sound like something that people that you know or could imagine would be interested in at all? Because everything might stop there. They might say, I don't think so. No, you can get that for free on YouTube. Nah, this person in town already does that. I can't see people. They already go there. This sounds identical, no, I don't think that's a big enough problem for people. I think most people will just suffer their whole life rather than deal with, Anyways, there's lots of things people might say where it's, oh, you're right. Huh. No, I don't think this is something. And again, hopefully you've handled that already in the beta test. But if they say, yeah, boy, wow, that's really handy. I could see people being very interested in this. Then you can say, is this something you would be interested in personally? Is this the kind of thing that would be a fit for you? And again, you're asking because you're curious. This is not a move to get them closer to saying yes. You're actually just wanting to know. Because they might say, no, not me. I mean, I get this is useful for people, but I don't think this would be a fit for me. Perfect. That's a legitimate answer. But they might say yes. They might say, oh man, yeah, shit, if there was that, I would totally sign up for that. Okay. So he continues. He says, the beauty of this question is at this stage, it's purely hypothetical. If it isn't at all appealing to them, they can say no, which is a gift to you because it means you'll have learned early in the marketing, early on that marketing this might, it means that you'll have learned early that the marketing might not want this, the market might not want this course quite as much as you thought. If that's what they say, and again, if like everyone you talk to says that, no, I can't think of anyone, and no, I'm not interested, then you might ask them to elaborate on their reasons, emphasizing that you aren't trying to change their mind, rather just wanting to understand. After all, you'd hate to go ahead with this plan if there wasn't a demand for it. That's a true thing. So many people in marketing, there's no demand, but they're pushing this thing. And that's where it turns into pushy sales. You see what I'm saying? You're trying to convince somebody to buy something that isn't a fit for them, they don't actually want. Versus something that they're like, no, that's exactly the kind of thing I'd be looking for. You get how that's a different conversation. So they might say no, and that's fine. But they might also say maybe. And if they say maybe, they say, they say, maybe. So, maybe I could tell you a bit more about it, and this might help you understand if it is a fit for you or maybe somebody you know. No pressure on this at all. So then you could go into, here's what the outcomes are, here's what the full cost would be. Maybe there'll be a discount for people who are in the pilot program in exchange for feedback. Here's the general flow of it. This is the structure I'm thinking. You can give them a bit more info. And then you might just ask them, do you want a spot in the pilot? I'm thinking I'll do the pilot in a couple of months. Would you like a spot in it? Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer for this. They might say yes, they might say no, they might say, I'm not sure. If they say yes, great, then you just, make the arrangements. And if they say no, bless and release, let them go. If they say maybe, you say, okay, that's great. If you could let me know by Friday, just so I know what I'm dealing with numbers-wise. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And again, no pressure on this. There's a lot of good things in the world to check out. And then I like it here. He says, if your pilot idea doesn't have legs, then a couple dozen calls is all you'll have invested before being able to pivot to a new idea that stands to be more valuable for others and more lucrative for you. So this is just for the first one. Of course, once you do the next one, you've got a finite personal network that you will burn through eventually. Which is why I like this. You do a personal outreach to people you think might be interested. And I would do that before you do a mass email. You could probably fill your pilot program just with this personal outreach. And people really do appreciate the personal outreach. And of course, when you call them, you say, look, I was thinking about you because of this. Remember this conversation we had? Or I saw this thing you posted on Facebook, or you came to this workshop I did that was about this. Anyway, I just thought this might be a fit. I don't know if it is. No pressure if it isn't. So you see what I'm saying? All of this hinges on, is your agenda to get to the truth of if it's a fit, or is the agenda to get the sale? If your agenda is to get the sale when you make this call, it will be manipulative. And I don't care how heart-based you try to be in your tactics. But if your agenda is just to see if it's a fit, well, then you're just checking in. This is a kind of final stage of marketing research. Because if you do a bunch of these calls, let's say you do 24 of these calls, and nobody signs up, that's feedback. And likely feedback that's something about either that nobody likes you, or I joke, or do I? Well, it could be that kind of feedback, I suppose. No, more likely it's feedback that they it's something about it isn't quite right. That could be the that you haven't got the relevance quite right. You haven't nailed the problem. Could be that the premise that it's based on isn't clear enough or is not that compelling. Could be that the offer itself, the value, the promise you're making isn't compelling enough. It could be any one of those. But again, this is what you can be asking us. You know, if you notice there's a, you know, if you say, yeah, what do you think? Is this something that people would be interested in? I don't know. Yeah, probably. Is this something you'd be interested in? No, I don't think so. You know, or well, maybe you could even just say, look, I just noticed a huge lack of enthusiasm in your response to this, and thank you. You know, and I'm curious why. You know, I just got the sense that when I said that you were kind of like meh, and it would mean the world to me if you'd be willing to share it. No pressure to share, but I'd love to hear your honest, candid feedback on how this landed for you and what, you know, what do you like about it, what do you not like about it? Because I don't want to try to, you know, do a whole huge sales page about it. Notice there's no sales page here. This is like pre-everything. There's no big, you know, I don't want to invest all this time and energy just to have this not work. And if there's a relationship and there's some care, they don't want you to do something. So what they'll probably say, well, you know, I see a lot of this. This seems real generic, what you're doing. Or that seems too good to be true. Or 7 days seems too short. Or 6 months, that seems too long. Or they'll give you feedback and they'll help you make it better. You know, and really honestly, after the first 3 or 4 conversations you have, you've probably refined it every time and figured out a way to make it better. With any of the stuff that you missed in those calls that you do in the beta testing program. So again, I'll put those links below. I really recommend checking out this book, Teacher Gift by Danny Inney. You can check out his website, miracy.com. He's got a lot of really great offers and helping people build successful online courses. But I just wanted to share this because it's such a practical thing. It's so funny, people think about selling a beta program and they never just think about picking up the phone and calling people. They never think, it's uncomfortable, I understand. But it's like, well, I'll post it on Facebook. I'll email my list. I'll do a Facebook ad. I'll make memes about it. I'll do everything except actually talking to human beings. And in a time where things are becoming more automated, believe me, these personal outreaches make a big difference. So that's it. I'll wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below, because, you know, sometimes this turns into another video I do. Hopefully this was useful for you. I know a lot of you are in a real crazy situation of doing work that used to be live, you know, body work and this type of thing, teaching yoga classes, and you're having to shift online, and this is very difficult. So hopefully this gives you some mechanics, something that can just help bring in some money, get the next, you know, beta test going. Anyways, my love to you all. I hope you're doing well out there. Take care.